There are people who are saying that it's harder to get a title shot in the modern era compared to the old era. My answer is, depends who you are. If you're a prospect, then yes. If you're an established fighter, then no. It's not easier, it's the exact same thing. Look at Georges St. Pierre, for instance. He was a prospect in the old era, and after his second UFC fight, he got a title shot against Hughes, and of course he lost because he was rushed too soon to the Wolves. Do you ever see a prospect in today's era who gets a title shot after their third fight? No. Like Yassim Arab, for instance, he got his first title shot after his 12th UFC fight after dominating Henry Cejudo. Khabib got his after his 9th UFC fight. So to answer the question, if you're a brand new prospect in the old era versus the modern era, then yes, it would be easier to get a title shot because you would have less fights than the modern day prospect. However, if you're an established fighter, it's the exact same thing. Look at Michael Chandler. In his debut, he fought Dan Hooker, who was a top 5, knocked him out, and in his second UFC fight, he gets a title shot. So this stuff happens in modern era as well. And in the case of Pitbull, last year, he would have gotten a title shot in his second UFC fight had he beat Yair Rodriguez. Why? Because he's an established fighter and a big name from Bellator. In fact, the Bellator GOAT coming into the UFC. Same with Patchy Mix. Had he beat Mario Bautista, he would have had the same treatment of getting a title shot in a few fights. So if you're an established fighter, it's the exact same difficulty as in the olden era versus the modern era. People want to say, oh, but Anderson Silva got his UFC title shot during his second UFC fight. He was an established fighter, cage rate champion, fought in Pride, beat guys like Carlos Newton and Jeremy Horn. He beat the big names at the time, so he was an established fighter, so he got a title shot pretty quick. So again, if you're an established fighter in the old era, it's the exact same level of difficulty as being an established fighter in the modern era. Not any different. Let's not forget, back in that old era, the UFC was not a monopoly. There were multiple promotions, fighters were independent contractors and free agents, and there were multiple MMA promotions, not just the UFC. It was a monopoly in these old times. So, to say that, oh, it's easy, you get after your second fight, neglects the entire context that these fighters who got it pretty quick, other than GSP, were mostly established fighters and had several fights in other organizations when the UFC was not a monopoly.